Good evening. Welcome to ninth video lesson on electric charges and fields. In previous class we have studied about electric flux and also about Gauss law. Electric flux is represented as phi equals to E dot A. This is by definition. And the same flux is stated in Gauss law as phi equals to Q total, the total charge enclosed by the closed surface. Gauss law, this is. Right. Now what is the difference between these two equations is, this is applicable to any surface, maybe open or closed surface. So this is any surface. But this is particularly applicable to only closed surfaces. And all these closed surfaces, what we call them as Gaussian surfaces. Gaussian surfaces. So keeping this in view, we are going to use these two equations to derive expressions for electric field due to a line of charge, sheet of charge, and also a spherical shell. So remember these two equations, phi equals E dot A, phi equals to Q total divided by epsilon naught, where Q total is the total charge enclosed by the closed surface, which is called as a Gaussian surface, which is purely imaginary. Right. So now today's topic is applications of Gauss law. Applications of Gauss law. Applications of Gauss law. Number 1. Electric field due to an infinite uniformly charged wire. This is simply known as a line of charge. Now let me tell you the significance of Gauss law. We use Coulomb's law to calculate electric fields due to point charges only. Maybe system is made up of point charges or discrete charges. We have calculated electric field due to a point charge 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. We calculated field due to a combined system of plus Q and minus Q, which is called as a dipole. On the axial line 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into 2 pi by R cube. On the equatorial line it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into P by R cube. So in the system of two charges, both of them are discrete. In all such cases, you can use Coulomb's law to calculate electric field. But if the charge is continuously distributed, rather it is continuous than the discrete, then Coulomb's law cannot be applied. Then we go to Gauss law. So here we have a wire of infinite length. Top it will extend up to infinity, bottom also it will extend up to infinity. And you stroke it with something so that it loses its electrons and now it acquires a positive charge. Like this. Now I would like to calculate electric field at a point P, which is radially located at a distance R. So this line is perpendicular. Now what to do? You take two equal elements of charge on above and below of this point. Suppose if it has some charge dq and we consider that dq as a point charge, this point charge now will produce an electric field at this point like this, in this direction. Similarly, this dq also, which is also treated as a point charge, will produce electric field at this point like this. Now if I resolve them into components, this is the cosine component of this vector and this is a sine component of this vector. So this E is resolved into two components like this, horizontal and vertical. Similarly, if I resolve this E, this is the component cos component of this vector and this is the sine component of this vector. So cosine components and here sine components. So this is also sine component. So as these two elements are located at equal distance from this point, therefore they are also located at equal distance from point P. So the magnitude of this field and this field are equal, though the directions are different, and the components also will have the same magnitude. Therefore, sine component vertically downwards will cancel with sine component vertically upwards. So you have got electric field only due to cosine components which are pointing in the same direction. So therefore, if you consider any number of elements like this, for every element above this point, its electric field, sine component of its electric field is cancelled by the sine component of the electric field below this, right? So all cosine components now will be going on adding up. So therefore, the electric field due to this will be radially outwards. Now instead of all these cosine components, I can write now a single electric field which is addition of all cosine components. So this is E. Okay. So this E will not exist now. This E will not exist now. These two also will not exist as they are cancelling. So only this E. So now, if I rotate this vector, this point P, if I rotate this radial vector R around this, then point P will be located at equal distances around this. So at all these points, electric field will be radially outwards. So it has got equal magnitude by symmetry and radially outwards as this is a positive charge. If this rod happened to be, a wire happened to be of negative charge, this electric field will be pointing radially inwards. So these things you don't need to write in the examination as an application. This is discussed only to tell you in which direction electric field will exist for a wire which is positively charged. So it will be radially outwards. Right. Now, this we are going to simplify further, which you can write directly in the examination like this. So now, the same line of charge I am drawing here of infinite length, which is having a positive charge. All its electrons have been removed so that it is left with only the positive charge. Right. Now, I consider here a point P at a radial distance R from the wire. To calculate electric field at point P, which is actually radially outwards like this, as explained previously, like this, we have to construct a Gaussian surface. Yesterday we discussed that Gaussian surface is purely imaginary. Nothing is going to exist like that. It is only to calculate the flux due to closed surface we are imagining the Gaussian surface. So now let us construct a Gaussian surface of length L and say this distance is what, radius R. So now this Gaussian surface will be in the form of a cylinder like this. So what is this? This is nothing but a Gaussian surface. If you take a small area here or this curved surface, if you draw a normal here will be outwards only. So this also we have discussed in the previous class. Anytime the normal should be drawn outwards from the surface. Right. If you consider another point over here, say let us say this is point Q, which is equally located as point P. Here also electric field will be radially outwards because this will produce flux radially outwards. This side like this electric field lines and this side it will be like this electric field lines. And we don't have electric field lines in this direction because the the wire is assumed to be of infinite length. So this is direction E, and if I draw a normal to this area of surface, it is again in this direction, that is radially outwards. So area vector and E vector, both of them are pointing in the same direction. So this will have a flux E into A, this also will have a flux E into A. Flux is a scalar quantity, these two fluxes will be what added up. So you have taken only 2 points on the two opposite sides of curved surface, but curved surface is 3-dimensional like this. So there are several points like this, around this. Because of all these points, what will happen? The flux will be what added up. So now let us imagine L is the length of this Gaussian surface. So that let lambda equals to Q by L be the linear charge density. Linear charge density of this wire. Then by applying Gauss law, by definition of flux, we have phi equals to E dot A. Now if you draw electric field lines like this, it will be like this. In this direction they will be like this. And if you see on the caps, it will be like this. Like this. Here also it will be like this. The flux lines. So to both the caps, the flux lines are parallel, and to the curved surface, the flux lines are perpendicular. So electric field will be perpendicular to area. So A perpendicular I will write. So flux through the caps is 0. Flux through the caps is 0 as the lines are parallel. Now, your flux exists only through curved surface. Only through curved surface. So this is a cylinder. Curved surface will be 2 pi r into L. Therefore, this flux will be calculated as phi equals to E into perpendicular area is nothing but what? 2 pi RL. So this is equation 1. Now, by Gauss law, you have phi equals to Q total divided by epsilon 0. Flux through any closed surface is nothing but 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by that Gaussian surface. Where is the Gaussian surface? This is that entire Gaussian surface. How much charge it is enclosing? The charge from this point to this point, how much is there? The total charge is enclosed by this much. How do you calculate that? From this equation. Lambda equals to Q by L. Therefore, Q equals to lambda into L. So this is, I will write here, lambda into L divided by epsilon naught. This is equation 2. This is one of the important equation. Q total where from you calculate means you calculate from your imagination only, that assumption only, that you assumed that lambda equals Q by L, the linear charge density of the wire. So that Q total is nothing but lambda into L. Now, from 1 and 2, you can see that LHS are equal. Both of them are representing flux only. So RHS can be what equated. So you will write E into 2 pi RL must be equals to lambda into L by epsilon 0. Now L and L will be what cancelled. E is nothing but lambda by epsilon 0 as it is on the right side. I will take 2 pi R here. Now we know that 2 pi epsilon naught is going to be a constant. So I write together 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught into lambda by R. This is the expression for electric field due to a line of charge. If you want to write it in the vector form, E vector equals to 1 by 2 pi epsilon 0 into lambda by R. How is this electric field? electric field is normal to the surface. Therefore, you will write it as a n cap. So this is the vector form. Now you will see that due to point charge, electric field varies as E equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into Q by R square with the square of the distance. But you can see here electric field is varying with not square but E proportional to only 1 by R. So if you plot a graph for this one, how electric field varies, it is like this. So R is taken on the x-axis, electric field on the y-axis, right? At R equals 0, E will be what? Infinity. So the graph will start like this and it will go like this. So you write it as E proportional to 1 by R. It's a hyperbola. Okay. So very simple equation. For 2 marks also they are breaking the answer and asking for 2 marks. Calculate the flux produced by a line of charge. Then you have to do only up to this this only. Phi equals to lambda by L into epsilon naught. This is the flux. You can write this equation at the beginning. Suppose flux you want. Flux enclosed by any closed surface phi equals to Q total by epsilon 0, where Q total is nothing but lambda L by epsilon. Only one step. Thing is, you have to draw the diagram. Gaussian surface, this carries 1 mark and this carries 1 mark. This step is not necessary. Intermediate step, phi equals to E dot A, that is E into A perpendicular, not necessary to calculate the flux. To calculate the electric field, you have to incorporate this also along with this derivation and equate these equations, you will get the electric field direct. Right. So electric field due to a line of charge is 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught into lambda by R. So is it going to be a uniform electric field? No. As R increases, E will be gradually decreasing. So this produces a non-uniform electric field, which is shown by the graph like this. Right. So as R tends to infinity, electric field will become at 0. So this should almost run parallel to x-axis. Right. So this is one important application of Gauss law. Now the second application is electric field due to a sheet of charge. The thing which we have discussed now is electric field due to a line of charge. That only we will call it as electric field due to an infinitely long, uniformly charged wire. So now second application, electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite sheet. Rather, it is supposed to be very thin. That means the sheet should show up the same magnitude, same sign, same charge. If it is showing positive on this side, it has to show only positive on the back side. That sheet is called as a thin sheet. What will happen if it is not like that? We will discuss now. Fine. So now, for our convenience, I will draw a sheet of finite length only. So this is now rubbed with a silk or something else, so that all the electrons in it are removed. So it acquires only now positive charge. Not all the electrons which are residing in the outermost orbits, which are loosely bound to the nucleus, all of them tend to move away from the surface. So therefore, equal number of positive charges will be given to this one. So it is positively charged. Right. Now, I would like to calculate, let us say, let sigma equals to Q by A is B, the surface charge density. So now you can see that charges are residing on the surface. Therefore, we calculate charge residing per unit area Q by A, that we call it as surface charge density. Surface charge density, or it is also known as areal charge density. Areal charge density. Right. So now let me imagine a point P here from the center of this one at a distance R. So sheet is not actually in the plane of the board, Rather, sheet is like this. Sheet is perpendicular to the plane of the board. So it is like this. Now R is nothing but perpendicular to the plane of this one. So as usual, this is actually a positive charge. We have seen at the beginning of the line of charge. If you consider small element above and below of this one, here also a small element below, small element here, a small element here, both of them produce electric field here. Their sine components will cancel, only cosine components will add up. So therefore, electric field will be pointing in this direction. This electric field is radially outwards. If I consider another point here at equal distance, now that's what? Now thin sheet. If it has a positive charge on the front face, it will have the positive charge on the back face also. If the sheet is very thick, if it shows a positive charge on the front side, it will show a negative charge on the back side, so then there will be a problem. That is why this is applicable to only thin sheet of charge. So here this is point P, or you name it as point Q, at equal distance what R here also from the center. So it's like this, So this being positive charge on the back side also, positive charge produces electric field radially outwards. So this is E, and this E by symmetry both are equal in magnitude. Now to calculate electric field at point P due to this one, I require to produce a Gaussian surface. I require to construct a Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface can be of any shape. It can be a cylindrical shape, it can be a parallel piped, it can be a sphere or any such thing. So it is our convenience and easiness which type of Gaussian surface we are going to select. Now I am going to construct a cylindrical surface. For this what I do, making this as a center, I will imagine a circular charge density. This is circular charge. So this is going to produce electric field E here radially outwards. Now the Gaussian surface should enclose not only your charge distribution but also point of calculation. I repeat, whichever Gaussian surface you construct, that Gaussian surface should enclose not only the charge distribution but also the point P where we are interested. So then this will be like this. So why I am drawing dotted lines means Gaussian surface does not exist in reality. That's why it is dotted. Right? Now, so here back side also, like this. Is it clear? Now, sheet is like this. A cylindrical Gaussian surface is passing through center of the palm. Like this. Now, so to this area of surface or area of cross section, which is nothing but a circle, if I draw a normal to make it as a vector, it will be radially outwards like this, n cap, and here also outwards only n cap. Now you see both of them produce positive flux. Flux equation, what is the flux equation? E into A dot, E dot A. So this is EA cos theta. What is theta? Theta is the angle between area vector and electric field vector. Area vector and electric field vector, both of them are pointing in the same direction. So this will become cos 0. This is nothing but E into A. So this side it will produce EA, this side it will produce EA. EA plus EA will become what? 2EA. Right? Now, so if I draw electric field lines due to this one, all the electric field lines will pass like this. Am I right? So how are they? They are perpendicular to the cross section. Here also they will be like this. They will be like this. So here also they are perpendicular to cross section. And at the same time you see that these electric field lines are parallel to the curved surface. So if the field lines are passing parallel to any surface, flux will be 0. If the field lines are passing perpendicular to any surface, flux will be maximum. So therefore, flux is associated with two caps of the cylindrical Gaussian surface, whereas the flux through this curved surface will be 0. So now, flux through curved surface is 0. Flux is associated flux is associated only with two caps of the cylindrical Gaussian surface, right? So therefore we use now phi equals to E dot A, that is nothing but E into A perpendicular, means flux is associated with only perpendicular area. So this is nothing but phi equals to E into, this is total area of this one is A, total area is A, so A plus A is nothing but what? 2A, so we will write as 2 into E into A, equation 1. Don't think that this is along the positive x direction and this is along the negative x direction, don't they subtract with each other? No, it is not a vector quantity to see the direction, it is a scalar quantity. Which is scalar quantity? Flux is a scalar quantity. So simply it will add up. Okay, but fortunately what is happening, area vector, that is n cap and E vector, both of them are pointing in this direction and in this direction. If this is a thick sheet, it will have a negative charge on the back side, then electric field will be towards it, normal will be outwards, then what will happen? This will become minus EA, this will become plus EA, the flux will be what? 0. But in this case, it will not be like that. Though flux is in this direction, though the flux is in this direction calculation wise, but both the flux will add up because of the scalar nature. So total flux through cylindrical Gaussian surface is only 2 into E into A, where A is the area of the cap. So A is area of cap, circular cap. Right, now we use now Gauss law. By Gauss law, phi equals to Q total divided by epsilon 0. The flux through any closed surface is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by this. So what is Q total? Q total is nothing but sigma into A. So this is sigma into A whole divided by epsilon 0, equation 2. Now from 1 comma 2, as both of them represent electric flux only, their LHS are same, so RHS can be what? Equated. So this is 2EA equals to sigma into A by epsilon 0. So A and A will be cancelled, you will get E equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. And if you write this in the vector form, E vector equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught into n cap. N cap again because it is perpendicular to the caps of the cylindrical Gaussian surface. It's radially outwards. Very surprising expression we obtained now. Sigma is nothing but Q by A. This 2 epsilon naught is a constant. There is no involvement of this direction. Sorry, this distance. From the center, I have imagined a point P at a distance R. I am getting sigma by 2 epsilon naught. I don't find this R involved in the expression. That means if point P is very close to the surface, point P is far away from the surface, the expression will remain same. That means electric field is independent of the distance of point P from the sheet. Whether the point P is very close, point P is far away, then what will happen? Electric field remains same. So this expression says that E is independent of R. Therefore, it is going to be uniform. E is going to be a uniform electric field. So line of charge produces electric field varying inversely with the distance, but whereas sheet of charge produces electric field uniformly, whether the charge resides whether the point P is closer or far away, electric field will be what? Same. So this is very interesting concept to understand. If point P is approaching closer and closer, what will happen? The amount of charge that is contributing for electric field at point P will be less. As P is moving away, the amount of charge on the sheet, the maximum portion of the sheet is going to contribute for electric field. Like you are taking a photograph. You are taking a photograph in very close up. Then you can cover 2 or 3 faces only. But as you move backwards, you can cover entire class. So as you move away, more number of faces can be covered. Similarly, if point P moves away, so the distance is increasing, don't think that the electric field will decrease. Electric field will remain same because more number of charges will participate in producing the electric field. Like more faces are covered when a shot is taken by the camera from a long distance. When point P moves very close, very less number of charges will contribute for electric field. So though the distance is less, but number of charges that are contributing or involved in the process of production of electric field is also less. Therefore, whatever field all these charges produce at this point, they produce the same electric field at this point, which are due to very small number of charges. So that is the concept. So whether the point P is very close to the sheet or far away from the sheet, electric field will remain same. So remember, this is one of the important concepts, that a uniformly charged sheet, thin sheet, will produce a uniform electric field. So two such sheets which are oppositely charged, we are going to make a combination which is known as a capacitor. That we will discuss in the next chapter. Right. So now if you draw a graph for this, R on the x-axis, electric field on the y-axis, what is your guess? Irrespective of the distance, electric field will have the same magnitude. So this is how it will be. So this magnitude is how much? Sigma by 2 epsilon 0. This much electric field will be there. Okay, right. Now, in this, we have different cases. Suppose you have got two similarly charged sheets. So this is positive, and here also there is another positive sheet. This is also positive. So this is plus sigma, this is also plus sigma. Now I take a point here, somewhere here. This point P. Now, which plate will produce more electric field at point P? Is it this one or two? As per the equation, both of them will produce same magnitude. But direction wise, if you see, this being plus radially outwards, so this is E due to this one, so E1, this one, and this plate will produce, being a positive plate, it also produces electric field radially outwards from this. So in this direction. So this is what? E2. So as E is independent of distance, E is written as sigma by 2 epsilon naught. E1 is nothing but sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Even E2 is also sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Both are equal but opposite in the direction. Net field E equals to E1 minus E2 equals to 0. So therefore, two similarly charged plates, the electric field in between them will be what? 0. Here there is no electric field at all. But if you consider a point here, say Q, this is, now, will 2 produce more electric field at Q or 1 produce more electric field at Q? Both of them will produce same electric field at Q because it is independent of the distance.